lesson this day, and I sincerely thank you for watching this channel. I would also, on behalf of my team, wish to welcome you to Ambassador Foundation, whereby we are going to teach you in online way. So we are your online teachers, and that now today I want us to embark on physics, whereby I want to talk to any Form 4 student there, any candidate who is about to sit for an exams. Today I want us to look at the types of questions that are majorly asked in physics and how they are supposed to be answered. Since Form 1, there must be a question you've been trying to answer, you get it wrong, you do an exam, you try to change the answer, you get it wrong, until you wonder why. Is my handwriting bad? It's not a matter of your handwriting. Is my teacher against me? No. Let us look at how you are supposed to present your answers, especially you who is about to sit for KCSE exams. So sometimes you have the content, yes, but presenting it is a problem. So there are different types of questions which needs to be answered differently. That's what we are going to take our few minutes. Look at them. If I show you how to answer one type of question, the same type of question in another topic, you will be able to answer it because you know what you are doing, and very few days remaining. When you are already a candidate, the days are very few, and I'm here to walk with you till the day. If you have any question concerning the two subjects that I'm teaching, just don't fear. Ask me. My phone number is here. That is my phone number. So you simply do what? You simply ask the question if you need a clarification of a certain question, especially using WhatsApp. I will answer you immediately. Between 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. you will get answered. So don't worry about that. I'm here. I'm ready to work with you. If it's a question that needs calculation, I will do it on a piece of paper, send back to you. If it's a question that needs explanation, I would give you a small or short audio giving you explanation of the same. So let's look at the types of questions being asked in physics, both in paper 1 and in paper 2. Then later on, when you are done with paper 1, check another video again concerning the tips on paper 3. So I've said, don't forget this, I'm here to work with you. I would never leave you nor forsake you. I will work with you. Then you get the desired grade you want in physics and in chemistry. Your teacher, Teacher MAIYO. So let's look at this. There are roughly 8 types of questions in which we study in physics, and they require different way of being answered. And that's why we are here. So the first type of a question is a question known as state question. State question. Not status, state question. Then we have the second one. We have what we call define. Define type of a question. Define type of a question. Then we have describe. We have the word describe. We have the word describe. So if a question that you are required to describe, we will see what you are supposed to do in that case. We have a numerical question, numerical stroke calculation question. Describing sometimes can be discuss question. Another one is graphical question. Graphical question. We will just see one by one what you are supposed, or how you are supposed to respond to these different types of questions. Then we have another one known as complete diagram. Complete diagram question. Complete diagram question. Then we have another one, differentiate. Differentiate. differentiate, to make two factors different. Then we have lastly, explain question. Explain. Explain. So in every complete paper, either paper 1 or paper 2, these are the kinds of questions that you always meet. And some of them you've been having them since Form 1 up to Form 4. All these are what you've been asked always. Some of them are very short and clear. Some of them you've been scoring them, like the word state. I don't think this one, students always do it very well when it comes to state. They always do it very well. Even when we are marking exams, they always do it very well. And even you understand to me, you will do it very well when it comes to state questions. What does it mean by stating? For example, the first question to be asked about stating was when you were in Form 1. State two factors affecting surface tension force. State two factors affecting surface tension force. So we have the factor of temperature and the factor of impurities. So when you give us temperature, impurities, well, that is stating. You stated. State two factors affecting pressure in solids, weight of the object, and the area of contact between the object and the surface. That is well. State three factors affecting pressure in liquids: the density of the liquid, the height or the depth of the liquid, and the gravitational force of the place. Those are the factors. In every topic there must be a way they can ask you to state. But now, when a question is to state, for example, you can be asked to state two factors that affects the stability of the object. State two factors that affect the stability of an object, of the object. The two factors that the base area and the position of the center of gravity are the answers. But once an examiner asks you, state two ways of increasing the stability of an object, the two factors that you have just stated, position of the center of gravity and the base area, if you write it that way, you will actually lose. So state two ways of increasing the stability of an object: lowering the position of the center of gravity, increasing the base area. You see, you use the first 2 points to give the best answer. State two ways of making an object less stable: raise the position of the center of gravity, reduce the base area. Now, raising the position of the center of gravity is the same as making the upper parts heavy. So if even you put in this way, that making the upper parts heavy, that is it, because when you make the upper parts heavy, you are shifting the position of the center of gravity from the bottom to the upper parts, making that object unstable. Then it follows now explanation. So, I want to give you an assignment concerning the state type of a question from topic 1, topic 2 in physics, all the way up to the 41st topic known as electronics in physics. In every topic, set for yourself a question concerning state. Remember, after doing that, you will have secured yourself 10 marks paper 1, 10 marks paper 2, because you have to state. Another way or another question that is under the category of state question is giving the laws in physics. The first law you learned is the principle of transmission of fluid, known as the Pascal's principle. It's a law. You are supposed to state the way it is. the way you have been given in your course book. Don't add or remove other words. Law is like a Bible. The Bible says, don't add or don't remove anything to this word. That is God saying. Now, law, you cannot add your own words, you cannot remove. You will be penalized. You know, when you add some words to the Bible, you will be charged harshly during the day of judgment. When you remove others, you will also still be charged harshly during the day of judgment. Now, when you add your own words when stating a law, I will mark for your paper. How will remove some marks from you? In fact, I will give you 0 in that question. So there are very many laws, and the good thing is you will never miss one. You will never miss one. If you miss one, you have seen how to contact me. Ask me why did I miss this question. Stating a law, the law of magnetism, the law of churches, Hooke's law, Ohm's law, all these, the Lenz's law. So just sit. About stating alone will take you like an hour. Have a book. Write all the state questions, then answer. If possible, make a summary so that you keep on reading and reading until you master all the laws. This applies to both paper 1 and paper 2. Stating. Know how to state. Know when you are told to state 2 factors affecting the surface tension, and when you are told, state 2 ways of increasing the surface tension force. You lower the temperature, you reduce the impurities. So that's kind of the things. You know, Kunamtu, he just knows that, you know, we have impurities and temperature. Whether to raise or to lower, you give the answer impurities and temperature. My friend, I will mark it very long. And I will not be happy marking it. So that is about the state question. Do it very well. All the laws in physics are under the state question. And if, by the way, if you cannot state it, the laws in physics, you will not pursue law as a course in future. What will you defend? And you can't defend yourself in stating these laws. Now, define is something very close to stating, but now you give an account of what that is. You know, defining, you are telling us about a given point. You define what is physics. You tell us what is physics, yes. So that is defining. You define the term inertia. Yeah, you just define what it is. So use the simplest words possible. Some of you are trying to show us how they know English, and in the process, they end up losing the marks. So, what is particulate nature of matter? What is matter? That is defining. In fact, it always requires the shortest answer. Don't use, as long as you have given us, if I ask you who am I, and then I tell you who am I will use the shortest statement possible. Even in an interview, don't use a lot of words. There's a very thin line between defining and stating, but I've said defining is actually telling us about a given factor. For example, you can be asked, what is a ammeter? So don't confuse yourself. It's an instrument, electrical instrument that is used to measure the amount of current. That is defining. Don't use a lot of words. And actually, every topic, there must be a word to define it. Define the term inertia, just as I said earlier. Define the term momentum. So this one needs you to actually know. There is no guesswork here. You need to know what a given term means. And just telling you the truth is, defined question is not well done by students compared to the state. They tend to forget how to define some terms. So don't be one of them. look for some questions that requires you to define, and after that, define them now. Know how to put them in place. You can't just stay there and you don't know how to define some terms. So you need to do it very well. So defining again, don't use alternatives. Using alternatives, we are asking you to define a given term. Then you give us another name of that given term. You will not score it. Please find out what is the meaning of that term we have asked you. What is a fluid? You tell us fluid refers to liquids or gases. You have not defined a fluid. You have given us examples of fluid. And in fact, giving examples should not be a way of defining a term. It should be a way of complementing what you have defined. Define the term fluid. It refers to any substance that is capable of flowing because of pressure difference. For example, liquids and gases. That is now defining. My friend, look for more. Just in every topic, just start with the first topic. Introduction to physics. Look if there's any defined question there from your notes. Most of you don't have notes. Use the KLP course book, because where we are now, if I ask you to write notes, I don't know where will you. So just pick to topic 1. Is there any defined questions? That's what actually you're going to do with all the other types of questions. Now, state, look for a place. Deal with state. It can take you 1 hour. Define will take you less than an hour because they are somehow less. Then you define them very well. Describe question. Describe always takes 3 marks or 2, but the best, when you put 2 marks, then you are becoming unfair to you. We are becoming unfair to you. So we are supposed actually to give you 3 marks. Describe, and I will tell you where these 3 marks actually goes to. Why are we giving you 3 marks? And first of all, do you know any question that requires you to describe? Yeah? Describe energy band theory. Describe domain theory in magnetism. Describe a simple experiment to verify Charles' law, to verify Boyle's law, to verify pressure law. Describing requires you to have the following. Describing, you must first of all, it's like a setup of an experiment. So in some description, you require apparatus, or rather instruments, or simply there are requirements needed. So you write requirements. You give us what is being required. Number 2, you give us the procedure. What are you doing? Then lastly, you give us conclusion. So those are 3 steps, 3 marks. For example, if I ask you now, using 2 magnets, one with known polarities and the other one with unknown polarities, determine the polarities of the unknown one. So you said by the requirements are a magnet with known polarities, another magnet with unknown polarities. Then you now describe. You bring the north pole of the known magnet close to a pole of a known magnet. If there is attraction, then the other pole is south pole. If there is repulsion, then it is north pole. I've given you, I find out the polarity, and so it requires you to, put in terms of steps. In some cases, description is accompanied with a diagram. And in fact, get this, if there is a suitable diagram that can fit in your description, please add that diagram. Even this one for magnets, just to draw two magnets, not pole and the other one doesn't have a pole, a polarities. Then if there is attraction and if there is repulsion, you make a conclusion. That's why you score your 3 marks. So describing has 3 steps. The first one for setting up the experiment or arranging how to do it. Then now the procedure, what are you supposed to do? After making the procedure, you give us the observation, what is happening. Then lastly, make a conclusion. In fact, those are the skills we learn in physics, observations. Yeah, following procedure. If you cannot do a described question, then you cannot cook, because cooking also requires you to follow a certain procedure, just like a described question. You're told to describe a simple experiment to verify Hooke's law. We know what Hooke's law talks about. Now, there are some questions that we make conclusion after plotting a graph. Hooke's law, Ohm's law, the gas laws, that is the pressure law, the Charles law, and the Boyle's law. After doing that procedure, you vary the pressure and volume, for example, in Boyle's law. Then after obtaining those values, you plot a graph. If you get a straight line graph, for example, for a Charles law, you make a conclusion. The gas obeys Charles law. So note the type of a question you are dealing with. When when describing domain theory, you may not be required to plot any graph. In fact, you are not required. You describe what it is. You explain why, as a materials, magnetic and some are not. And by the way, concerning magnetism, you can check one of my videos there, teaching about magnetism. Then you see such things, because you need to get such things. So describe question. There are very many. Describe an experiment. But the good thing here is, the truth is, most of you score it very well. So describe a simple experiment that you can use to find the diameter, that you can use to find a diameter of a test tube. So you know what you require. You require a test tube itself, you require a thread or a string, then you require a meter rule. So that now you follow all the steps until you get how to get at the diameter. You just score yourself 3 marks. In Form 1 we used to give you 6 marks because there were no concepts to be said. 2 topics or 3 topics. And we had to give more marks so that at least you feel well. But now in Form 4, you are about to do your exams. A described question will give you a maximum of 3 marks. Do the same. Look for more described questions from your side. If it happens that you meet with one that you are unable to, we are here for you. You are a government project. You are a government student. You are the property of the government. And we have to take good care of you. So please, let's work together. Now, numerical question. These are the ones now that, it's always there. And the good thing about numerical questions, you are always guided by what we call a formula. There are others that do not actually have a given formula. There are questions that do not have a specific formula, but you find yourself doing it. But 90% of the numerical questions have a formula. Let me start with the ones that do not have a formula, but you need to have a concept on the same, is when you are dealing with, for example, you are in this topic of thermometers. And we have a faulty thermometer, and we have a good and functionable thermometer. Then now you compare the two until you get the accurate temperature using the faulty thermometer. There is no specific formula that you can use. But just, working with such questions, working with more examples, you get the concept on the same. But that one you just need to work with more examples. You work on it. Numerical questions should be a booster to you. And they're in fact. You borrow much knowledge from mathematics. So now, I will tell you why it's important to write a formula when doing it. There are those who are very well smart upstairs. They don't even write a formula. They just do it directly, no problem. But for the economy class, we need to see how to work on it. Now, in most cases, numerical question takes you or gives you 3 marks. Now let's distribute the 3 marks. The formula itself will give you 1 mark. When you do what we call substitution, another mark, then now you give the answer another mark. These are 3 marks. Someone is asking herself, if you don't write the formula but you still score, we will give you your 3 marks. For example, formula carries 1 mark. That is, if the formula is relevant. What do I mean by saying if the formula is relevant? If the formula is relevant, I mean this. You are working about efficiency of a machine. You have mechanical advantage. You have velocity ratio. Then we all know that efficiency is given by mechanical advantage over the velocity ratio times 100. But now we know the alternative of efficiency. Power output over the power input times 100%. Then now, in the question, we don't have power input, we don't have power output, but you are giving us that the formula for efficiency is power output over power input. That is irrelevant in this case. You are dealing with pressure in solids, and you are telling us that pressure is given by rho gh. We are not reducing, yes, it is rho gh. But now, concerning this question, it is irrelevant. So, a formula takes 1 mark if it is relevant. You substitute very well, another mark. You give us the answer with the units, another mark. 3 marks. So look here. Let me use the simplest of all, pressure. So pressure is given by force over area. That is the pressure in solids. I will give you here 1 mark. Maybe the force, we always don't give you directly. We always give you in terms of, maybe we give you 2 kilograms. Then we give you area to be 0.1 meters square. So you know what you are supposed to do here first? You convert the 2 kilograms into weight, which is the force. So there are 2 types of students here. I want you to see why you are supposed to write the formula. A student, we have student A, who will just come here and say pressure without even writing the formula. This is the workings now. Solutions. Pressure is given by, then kwa akili yake ameiweka direct. 2 kilograms is 20 newtons over 0.1 meters square. Then pressure is equals to 200 newton per meters square. Very well. I will mark here twice. Why? Because that is where the formula is, and that is where the substitution is. Then I mark here another mark. Then she gets 3 marks. This one applies if you are very bright and you don't do simple mistakes. But look at this, student. Let me wrap this. So we are going, this lesson will end here at numerical. Then you just move to the next video. You look at these others. So now, let's look at another type of a student. This one will score 3 marks, yes. Look at this. Pressure is equals to 2 kg over 0.1 meter square. Then you get 20. Then you write units, meter square, Newton per meter square. From the word go, she will score nothing. I'm using she because I think. From the word go, these students will score nothing. Simply because he or she failed to convert 2 kilograms into newtons. But this one will score 0. Look at this. Look at that case of a student, which now I want you to follow this one. Student writes pressure is equal to force over area. This one goes the same way with the first one, the first case. Then pressure is equal to, there now I write 2 over 0.1, 2 kg over 0.1 meter square. Then pressure equals to 20 Newton meter square. Now this one and this, they have the same answer. But trust me, this one will score 1 mark. She will score 1 mark there. Because first of all, the student gave us the formula, which is very well. This student substituted directly. And it is very wrong. You know, so just write the relevant formula, substitute. But even if, I'm not saying you will do it wrongly, I'm saying this, even if you substitute wrongly, at least you are saved with 1 mark. That is now way of doing it. But the best way is, you know, doing this. I mean, you know, this one is somehow risky because you can end up doing this. Now, what you are supposed to do here is that now we move on. You convert the 20 into newtons, equal 20 newtons over 0.1 meter square. Then we get 200 Newton per meter square. This student will just have another mark here, and lastly another mark here. Now listen to this very well. Writing of units is very important. Writing of units is very important. They are part of the marks in the answer mark. So do this. In the event you don't know the units, in the event you don't know the units, 200. So you don't know whether to write 200 people, 200 Pascals, 200 what? Between person who has just left 200 and another student who has just written 200, let's give a very funny unit here, 200 meters cubic. And remember, the student was calculating what? Pressure. The one who has left without units is somehow safe than the one who has given wrong units. So I'm saying, if by all means you forget, you don't know the units, just leave it, because this one will get half a mark. This one we penalize fully for lying. Number one, for you don't know the units, half a mark. Number two, you are a liar. You will lie in future. You will become a terrorist in future because you are lying. Just imagine, you're working on electricity. Then because you don't know, you are dealing with the electrical equipment. Instead of giving us 200 voltage, you give us 200 amperes. Then we regulate the electricity to fit 200 amperes. You will burn the building. So it's better you leave it empty. Just tell us 200. Then we will do our own analysis. We know, is it 200 voltage or 200 amperes? But once you give us wrong units, we will believe that whoever was giving the units knows what he was doing. Now it's better you leave it. Those are the first 4 types of a question. Do that assignment. The assignment, just work on the state, define, describe, question, and then numerical question. Do it very well. If you require my attention, just WhatsApp me. I have given you the contacts there, and I will answer you as early as possible, because I want you to be the best student in physics and in chemistry. I wish you all the best, student. So God is there for you. We are also there for you. Don't panic. If you panic, you will fail. Blessings.